Hello and welcome to another episode of Armored Warfare with your host, Czar Peppers. Today I want to do a bit of a shorter episode. Well, I'm not sure if it's actually going to end up being shorter, but we'll see. But today I want to do sort of a reflection on Early Access 4. Look at some of the strengths and some of its weaknesses. But before we do that, I just wanted to cover a few other things. Replays. If any of you have entertaining replays, it would be awesome if you can send them in to the email that I have on my About page. I don't really care if you did good or badly in the replay, as long as it's entertaining. That's all I really care about. At the moment, I'm looking for replays from World of Warships, World of Tanks, War Thunder, Wargame Red Dragon, and yeah, I'll start with those four and see what happens. Moving on. Tomorrow or the day after, I'm gonna be the first episode of my World of Tanks series, which is gonna be called Evolution of a Noob. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like World of Tanks very much. That may just because I'm not very good at it, and the few times I have played it, I got destroyed. So that's what I want to find out. I want to give it a fair chance and see if I can improve my gameplay, and then see what I really think of the game. And you'll see the process along the way. Lastly, I've been working on sort of a special episode of World of Warships for just improving the chances you'll survive the match. But now, without further ado, we'll move right into the reflections on Early Access 4. I want to note that this isn't a review of the game in the traditional sense, because I don't think it's really fair to review an early access game, but just looking at ways they can improve and ways that we think that they're getting right. I think what I'm going to do is start out with the cons, because to be honest there aren't very many of them, but there are a few. For starters, it would be nice to see some improvement in the AI for the PvE matches, because it seems like for them the difficulty settings is more just how many guys they throw at you spawning in all around you at the same time. But to be fair, I'm sure there are mechanics to the game that they're focusing on first before they get to the AI, and I think that's perfectly understandable. My second thing is stability. I haven't had much of a problem with stability in this game, maybe 4 or 5 times, but I thought I'd mention it because I did have a few issues. There were a few just crashes to desktop, but a few other times, and this was a bit more annoying, was it would get stuck on the menu screen and you wouldn't be able to click on anything on the menu screen. And then I would try and Alt-Tab so I could get into the task manager and process it, but the problem is it stays on the first layer no matter what you do, so you can't get into the task manager to end task. So you end up having, well, what I just do is I sign out, and then when you sign out it goes into sort of, you have these programs open, would you like to end task? And I just hit cancel, and then it goes back to the desktop and the game's closed. So that's how I get out of that problem, in case you have that issue in the future. But other than that, I haven't had any huge problems. And those are really the only cons that I have at the moment. I mean, there are other little things, like little graphical issues with special effects and destroyable objects and that kind of thing, but that's all stuff I'm sure they will get to in due time, so I'm not going to hold that against it for now. So, now for the good things. What struck me as being good about this game? Well, it has really nice graphics, and one thing that struck me is it has really good sound too. I like the sounds of the guns, and the engine sounds are good, various crashing noises. Very nice, very well done. And the fast, energetic gameplay is something else I really enjoy. Unlike a lot of other games, it doesn't get bogged down with campers and that kind of thing. It's fast-paced, it keeps moving, things are always changing, and you have to stay on top of it. It also has a familiar feel, but in sort of a refreshed way. It's easy to get into because it feels like games you played before, but there's enough new things to it that it doesn't really feel like it's based on those games. So instead of just feeling like a World of Tanks clone, it actually feels like its own game. It's got a unique quality to it. One of my favorite things is you don't spend all your time trying to glare at the screen and look for targets and that kind of thing, where you would in, let's say, War Thunder. And there's nothing wrong with that, I like that a lot, but it's something different, and I enjoy how you get to concentrate more on your strategy rather than just doing the basic things, which, if you were the commander, your crew would be doing anyways. There's a wide range of vehicles, and not just like different kinds of tanks, but different types of armored vehicles, which I feel give you a reasonable representation of the real-life counterparts. And finally, I really enjoy the controls. They're responsive, but not too twitchy or anything like that. Just a very good balance in between. So, is this game better than, let's say, War Thunder? Well, in a word, no. But you can't really compare the two. I enjoy both games immensely. I enjoy War Thunder because it gives you the more realistic tank feel, and there's very little arcadey sense to it. Even in the arcade battles, I know it doesn't perfectly represent real life, but it feels way more realistic. But that's not what I came into Armored Warfare expecting, or even hoping for. I was hoping it would be something faster than War Thunder, and hopefully with better team play than War Thunder, and let's face it, that's not very hard to do. So I'm not going to say that one or the other is better, because they're both very good at what they do, and I'm glad that they aren't trying to do what the other person's trying to do. And those are my thoughts. Please let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with, or if you have any other ideas or insights, I would be happy for you to give them. Or even if you just want to say my head's shaped like Dick. So here we are at the end of Early Access 4, between Early Access 3 and Early Access 5. We've had good times, we've had bad times, we've had incredibly frustrating times, and fantastic teams, and ones that have been really, really bad. But it's all over now. For 2 whole days we won't have any Armored Warfare to play. So, until September 3rd, good night.